Okay, I can see you, but I can't see me. Oh, I can see me. There you go.
I can see you, I can hear you, I think. Are you all right with me?
Yes, I can hear you. And it's recording.
Okay.
So we've got 4 participants here.
Okay.
And okay, so hello and welcome to our ThinkTree webinar, Training and Assessing Online in a Post-COVID-19 World. My name is Kush Kumar. I'm the CEO and founder of ThinkTree. And one of the reasons we've put this webinar together is in respect of some of the changes that are happening due to the COVID and the effect it's having on course providers and education. Throughout this, if you do have any questions, you'll see a little tab at the bottom, which is Q&A. Please put your questions on there, and I or Dave will try and answer those at the end of the session. So I'm going to introduce you to Dave Brown, our Managing Consultant for Education, who's going to talk you through a few slides. Then I'll come in and do some slides as well, and then we'll have Q&A at the end. Just to let you know, this is all about support for you and things that you're going to do in the future. So for some reason I've got, okay. So over to you, Dave.
Okay, thank you, Kush. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. So just before we start, ThinkTree webinars, if you've not been to any before, we've done a few in the educational field now. They're always free. We always like you to ask questions and discuss. So if you've got anything that you want to ask, as Kush has already said, please put that in the Q&A, and we'll attend to that at the end. We're going to do this in 30 to 45 minutes, so it doesn't take up too much of your day. Not that there's much you can do, not many places to go at the moment, but often people are busy, and in normal times, it's always useful to be a bit more efficient. If you're not familiar with ThinkTree, it's a professional association for people in the health and complementary therapies industries, and Kush will be able to describe that more fully, but essentially they're contactable, or we're contactable through the website, thinktreehub.com, or through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and the YouTube channel, which is, I think, where this recording will end up. Kush, is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, right. So today, questions we're going to answer in this webinar: how the post-COVID-19 world has changed for training providers. What are the insurance compliant training adaptations that you can make now? So you might not be fully functioning or open yet, but there are things that you can do now to start to put that in place, and things you can actually start to do operationally that will start earning you an income straight away. ThinkTree has a new insurance approved development process, which Kush will talk about, for accrediting online training. And to finish, we'll just talk very briefly about rethinking and trying to sort of conceptualize growing your business in a more socially distant world, hopefully to protect it from the major traumas that most of us have just gone through in the last 2 months. So firstly, okay, so my role, I work with Kush and work for ThinkTree, but I also work in mainstream education in FE and in HE sectors. And educational establishment faced exactly the same challenges as private trainers faced, in that in mid-March, everything had to go online. There wasn't much notice. It was all quite a quick turnaround. So what I would say is that the first thing that happened was we didn't plan online learning as you have got time to do now. We literally flipped a switch one day and went from face-to-face teaching to what I'm calling on here emergency remote or emergency online teaching. So it wasn't a well-planned, and it wasn't a really super thought through process. We just put everything that we normally did face-to-face as much as possible online. And that created some challenges, and I'll just outline a few of them, and you'll know what they are because you've experienced them some yourselves as trainers. Some students and some staff had what we would refer to as digital equity issues. In other words, not everybody had technology at home that they could use well. Not everybody had a stable internet connection. Some people were off grid, some people were reliant on phones and data from their mobile phone contracts. Some people had larger screens, some people had smaller screens, some people had different powers of computing available to them, etc., etc. So it was a very bumpy process for lots of people. We made some significant assessment adjustments, and where we could, we brought assessment into a more online format. So for example, end of year exams, many of them became slightly different and were managed through the online process. But in many, many contexts, some of those assessments, some of our delivery, some of our modules could not take place and had to be paused because they didn't suit an online teaching methodology. And that probably is going to be the same for the majority of what the ThinkTree world has experienced, where you are training people to become therapists, to provide hands-on treatment. You want to see them perform those particular treatments, routinely and reliably over and over again. And that hasn't always been the case. It's very difficult to do that online, but through what Kush is going to talk about in a slide or two's time, you're going to find out that there are some options that are available to you. So we lost some authenticity. We lost the ability to be face-to-face with people. It created additional anxiety and pressure for staff and for students. And that will be the case going forward for anybody who's not comfortable online, who hasn't used technology. It's another layer to consider in terms of how you induct and how you train people in the early phases of your courses. We utilised a variety of digital platforms, and we've had experience now in a variety of different ways, but it's useful to work on a single platform so that people can get used to it, and that you as a training provider can induct them and talk about and become very familiar with a platform that does everything that you need it to do in one place. That makes a really time and cost efficient way of doing things. So as I said, we couldn't assess practical. We missed some of the professional competency elements, and those just got stopped or paused or suspended, and we have pushed them into a summer resit window, a bit like you've experienced through the industry. Lots of things have just paused and are waiting for the ability for us to work face to face to open up again. Student feedback actually has been quite positive. So people understood what was going on because we were all in it together. The feedback was recognised that we did the best that we could, and students did the best that they could. So there was an understanding and appreciation that technology is and will be from now on, I think, part of the learning domain for, most people will expect some element of online, and I think it's a more normalised thing. So training and assessing online is now different. People's expectations of how they communicate is different. People that maybe were worried about going online before will have been forced to engage with online communication with family, with friends, either on their phones or through light social media interactions or Facebook Lives or whatever it is. So people's ability to engage and get online and be comfortable watching screens and communicating on screen means there are more people who will be comfortable doing your courses online, and that's a positive thing. It requires planning, it requires the right technology, but it is absolutely potentially a game changer for you going forward that I'll come to at the end when I talk in my final slide. So it's been difficult. Everybody's understood what we've tried to do. You've done the same, I'm sure. But the next few weeks and months give us the opportunity to really think how we want to reorganize ourselves for the future. And I'll leave it at that and let Kush talk about the next slide.
Okay, so thank you, Dave. Just moving on from what Dave was saying, one of the things we've had to do is speak to insurance companies to make sure there is an element of compliance with any courses, new courses, or courses online. Now, it's very important that the best way for any practical course is to be face-to-face. That is the best way. However, because of where we are and what is happening, we're having to adapt. And this is all about adapting. But let's just think about this. It's not just about adapting for now. This could go on, and this also could become a norm. So when we are talking about the adaptions, these are almost going to be a second option for people. Okay, now I know some of you might be new to all of this and you've not put a course together before, although you might be qualified in your subject area and you may be qualified in teaching, but this is a whole new different level of delivery. So when we're looking at theory and practical, and one of the things that we understand is that theory is something that can be adapted to work online. But there are some key things that we've got to think about when we are offering theory online. First of all, a reliable, secure platform. So that is the foundation, if you like. Secondly, the engagement and the content has got to be most relevant and has got to be part of the industry remit. So, you know, something that somebody can actually use and gain from. So really, really important. Blended learning in terms of how we share theory with people. So that can be done in a matter of, you know, with how you use your resources and one thing and another. But one of the most important things is that we continually are assessing the theory through tests and one thing and another, exams. That way, because you're not going to be there, so you need to be sure that those who engage in the theory have some sort of assessment and are competent. Now, in terms of the practical element, again, face-to-face. However, when it comes to those therapists who already have a prerequisite of a foundation of a different modality, then it becomes that slightly bit more accessible to offer practical online. Now that, again, has got to be live so that you can see what you're doing, so that you can still offer guidance and support. Sometimes it might be a case of using Zoom or Facebook or WhatsApp video, whatever platform you choose. Again, make sure that these platforms are secure and they're not easy to hack by anybody else. That is really, really important, the practical part of it. Now, we, having spoken to insurers, anybody doing a baseline standard, like, you know, first time they're doing any therapy, body massage, that isn't going to be something that is going to be readily available and acceptable at this moment in time. So please be aware of that. If you are looking to upskill people through CPD, then this is where we're talking about at the moment. Now, again, the essential training quality has got to be really important, because when you do impart your knowledge on theory basis, the information is there for people to react and respond to. However, when it comes to the training element of it, the practical element of it, we've got to show that things are underpinned. So everything they've learned there on the theory side has got to be underpinned. So when you are delivering or planning, then consider how you're going to test, how you're going to check knowledge and understanding. And you must underpin all of this. So it's there, it's available, but there is a criteria of how and what. And, you know, obviously, if you're engaging with ThinkTree, then we will support you and guide you through that process to make it seamless for you. When it comes to the training quality, it's also about your USP. Okay. Now, as you'll be aware, many people are engaging in online training. Many people are offering lots of things. Who's bona fide? Who can you trust? It's always quite challenging unless they've got a reputation or they come from a good background. But you've also got to consider your USP. Why would somebody be coming to you? What are you going to add? So if you think about all of those years you've spent with your skills and your experience, you put something together. And throughout that time, you've learned, you've adapted, and you've delivered. So always a part of your training quality has got to be that you have got a USP. Absolutely essential, absolutely essential. The future of training, like I say, is changing. In the future, where traditionally somebody would come to a premises and you would teach them the theory, the practical, the assessment, now you're breaking things apart. Your theory is online, it's available, it's robust, it's tested, and then the practical element. Now this means that you can be effective and efficient with your time as a course provider. And also its efficiency savings are made through the cost of other tutors. And the other thing that's really important about the theory online is that there's a consistency with the information that you're giving out. So it's not a case of one tutor has done something different to another tutor, but it's the same subject. It's a case of everything is equal. So really, really important to think about those things. And also, you know, the future of your training is going to have to be what we call blended learning, combination of online, practical, combination of different resources, and don't be afraid of changing things around. And you know, one of the most important things is if you go back to your own learning and think about when you were at college, at school, wherever, think about what you enjoyed the most. So try and replicate and have fun with it, you know, make it interesting, because that's how we can then make sure that the quality is right. Because if you enjoy something, then you retain it, you remember it, you can do something with it. And also, again, and I've said this on many, many occasions, it's about your reputation, okay? It's about where you are going next. Do you want to go on to the next slide? Thank you. Okay, so as far as the development and process session of accredited online training course, and Dave will bring this up at the end of the webinar as well. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different remit. Everybody has a different structure. What we're trying to do with ThinkTree to make it easier for you is to give you a systematic process that you can follow. Now, let's just focus on the fact that you are skilled in your modality, or you are skilled in a certain area. And we would want you to remain skilled in that area. If there are things that you're not aware of or that are new to you, then you have two options. You either learn and you bring yourself up to speed, or you hand over to somebody who is well versed in that area. So what we're saying is we have our platforms, we have our quality assurance, we have everything set out, and it's there for you to use. So in terms of our online accredited program, and again, we've spoken to insurers and we've got the green light from them, which means that it's compliant. However, there is a criteria to meet, and we would help you and support you and guide you through that criteria. That's where the quality assurance comes in. That's where what you are going to deliver has been checked and supported throughout the process. Secondly, the assessment. So the assessment, again, these are modalities that are addition to the foundation. So something that people upskill on, which are live assessments, okay? And you can see a picture of a phone there, or a video, or however it's been done. So it's done live, so you're almost in the room. Again, there's a criteria to meet to gain that. And we also ask that we have access to that so that we can check its validity as well. This is all to support you, and it makes a lot of sense. So obviously I'm just skirting through things at the moment, because until we speak on a one-to-one basis, then I don't know what it is that you're going to want to achieve, but we will support you and guide you through that, okay? Now, as far as the litigation is concerned, we still need to have compliance, which I've talked about throughout. the insurance companies are happy with that. If you've met our criteria, gone through our process, then they're going to be content with what's happening. However, there are still some declarations you may want to make, especially with COVID, especially with what's happening now. And we will talk to you on a one-to-one basis if you want to come forward, and we will help you to manage that process. Now, if you get a disgruntled student or learner who comes along, we need to think about how we manage that process. So it's very important that you don't know what's going to come up, that you have your processes and your planning in place in line with, say, ThinkTree's structured development process. Absolutely, absolutely essential. Your information has got to be up to date and relevant. As we know, things are changing throughout this past 3 months. We don't know where they're going to go. We have an idea, but we're not 100% sure. So again, thinking about any websites that we cite within our courses that are updated regularly with the appropriate links, and that everything is in line with either the government, the insurance compliance, or with the remit of ThinkTree as the process. Thank you, Dave.
Okay. Right, so I'm going to finish off. So the assumption is that you are here because you are at least interested in how online learning or using online platforms and automation can help you recover a business that's been relying on face-to-face training, or enhance and grow a business because of the global market that it opens up actually through the online platform. So whether it's rethinking, or whether it's optimizing, or whether it's growing, or whatever your mindset is, there are a number of things that we need to just really get clear in this final slide, and it brings together things that have been said really. So if you're considering online, what parts of your training, it might be a part of a course, it might be a whole course, it might be a CPD module. Let's not get bogged down with the specifics, but you need to understand what fits and can work online in the current situation without doing anything. There will be bits of theory, for example, and there will be bits of learning that you are currently delivering. And if you're delivering it, you presenting it to a group or to a small number of individuals over and over and over and over again, on course after course after course after course, then it makes sense to consider filming that or investing some time in preparing that to be shared online, so that it frees you up from having to be present and going through the same process multiple times. You can then share that with an ever widening, ever growing number of people in a wider variety of places. People don't have to travel to where you are. There's no costs for you in terms of hiring venues and staying over in hotels and all those sorts of things. There are some significant benefits for you just putting things that could be online now online already. They might need to be broken down differently, or they might need to be optimized, they might need to be sequenced, and you might need to make them a little bit shorter and sharper and clearer, bite-sized chunks of learning that we check understanding as we go, as Kush has already said. You might introduce a part of a module, get somebody to watch a 10-minute video, answer a couple of questions, pass a certain percentage, 80%, 50%, whatever it might be, then they can move on to the next bit. So building block after building block. You need to think about the technology that's going to be appropriate for you. And you can be a member of ThinkTree and use your own technology and do this all yourself if you want. But if you haven't done it before, and if you want some support in that, we have an online platform that we can show you and demonstrate to you that you can choose to partner with us in its use. And that's probably, for most people who have never done it before, the most secure, GDPR compliant, reliable, trustworthy, IT support based system that you can pick until you find your feet and maybe want to grow something yourself. So there are plenty of systems out there. ThinkTree has a system as well, but you need to think about safely automating your content so that somebody who finds out about you on Facebook can be sold a course and come into a funnel and to enroll in a program that automates and presents them with information and learning in a nice sequenced way, and that you can check how they're progressing, and you can check that they understand and they're passing things, and you can award them certificates based on the things that they are doing online once they're inducted and once they're enrolled, and that's nice and simple. That would involve a combination of written word, probably video, but it's not essential, images, Q&As, quizzes, a whole variety of things. I don't know if, Kush, you want to talk about any more of the things that you would recognise within a course. You've put a few courses online in the last few months, like I have.
Yeah.
What have you seen coming through in the courses that you've built for people?
Well, people have put word searches together. It's all about having fun, you know, looking at different kind of resources. How can you impart knowledge, and how can you then assess that knowledge to make sure that they have an understanding, because that is the first phase before they then start to implement and underpin the practical. So
if I can jump back in, and you know, that you can be creative. We've got some models that you can follow, and as Kush said, if you contact him after this, you can have a discussion and we can talk about helping you with those if that's the direction that you want to go in. To give you an example, some real numbers, ThinkTree put a free COVID CPD module online about a week and a half ago.
But yeah,
something like that. So that's on our platform. If you've been on that course, I don't know if you have or not, that's the learning platform that we're talking about. That course in its own right in 10 days has had about 780 enrolled users. And you know, the progress to that course has been good. We've got some fantastic feedback. Everybody who has commented has fed back and has given us some positive feedback. There's a range of findings in there that we're going to develop into future courses as well. I've had 3 emails from people asking questions about something technical with the program. So somebody was asking about certificates. Somebody was asking about how they can change the format of their certificate. The system is absolutely rock solid reliable. And to further illustrate, and this links to the final icon, the global market, we have people who have partnered with ThinkTree and have become members who operate in Australia, who operate in the Caribbean, who operate in Spain and in Tenerife, and obviously a number of people who operate in the UK and Ireland. And that's what I want to make as my lasting point to you. If you've been thinking that your market for your training has been your locality and your town or your region or somewhere much more localized, then that's still there. That doesn't go anywhere. But with a different marketing strategy and the power of social media, and obviously you need skills and you need to understand how those things work. Anybody who speaks English and can find your information through social media and can log on and follow a link and, you know, can read information and can make a decision about paying for a course online, can do it at a time to suit them in a location anywhere in the world. And it's just automated. It just happens. And as long as you build it correctly, and as long as you put it in the right system and the right place, and as long as you make it accessible to whoever wants to find it and use it, chances are that you're going to broaden your business and you're going to increase your reputation. Now, global might not be something that you feel confident considering, but if something's online, it is available globally. And we would co-promote with you, and there are a variety of mechanisms that we can talk about. Essentially, it's your course. It always remains yours. You own it. You've got the intellectual property rights on it. We are a partner who are essentially hosting that program for you within our technology, and that's how we would like to work going forward. I hope that's answered lots of your questions in terms of being on this webinar, but I can recognize that there are some questions, and Kush,
Yeah, so Pauline, hi Pauline. Pauline's asking, how does it stand with insurance if someone is doing a course elsewhere in the world, doing your course in the UK? So if somebody, what you've got to remember is that the courses that are accredited through ThinkTree are based on UK accreditation. Okay, so that is our kind of first point of reference. It's UK accredited. It's compliant with UK insurance. Now, in the past, people have had their courses accredited with us and offered them in Australia, offered them in America, offered them in Spain, Caribbean, The important thing here is that the insurance compliance, that's the key here. And what the course provider has done, has linked with an insurance company and said, this is what we're doing here. And they've come to us and we've given them the information they've wanted, they've needed, and they've been quite satisfied. However, every country has their own unique way of assessing. Some you may or may not require insurance. Some you may require a certain number of evidence that they require from you. We will support you, but we are focused on it being UK, and that has got a really, really good reputation all over the world. So we know that works.
Sorry, Kush, I was going to continue. Yeah. UK education is amongst the highest regarded in the world. So it is a very credible quality standard to achieve. And if you've got a quality assured program and you've got insurance compliance that meets UK standards, then the majority of countries are very happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to ask? No? Well, you've always got our email and our details, which Dave's going to go through with you now.
Yeah, so as we've said, if you're interested in this, then the best thing to do is talk on an individual basis with Kush. His email address is there in the middle and the left of the screen, admin@thinktreehub.com. I'm assuming that because you're here, you're already following us on social media, but keep following us and keep engaging with us online, and we'll do the same with you. And I hope this last 35 minutes or so has answered a few questions, and it's got some of you thinking, and some of you are at least considering how you might take that next step to take your courses online. And if you really are considering that, we'd be delighted to talk to you going forward.
Yes, if you want to send me an email and we'll put some time aside, just remember that sometimes through conversation, we find ways and we find ideas and we realize that there are other solutions, there are other ways of managing what you're trying to achieve and or adding to what you're trying to achieve. So, thank you very, very much. If you haven't done the free COVID course, then please do it. We know that therapists are using that as information for them and for their clients as and when that happens. So that's going to be available. So thank you very, very much, Dave, for your input and help with this. And if you are interested, then come and talk to us and we'll be more than happy to support you and help you through the process. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.